Holocaust. My father, he's now 88 years old. And we have a very good connection because we have the same birthday. My father and I were born on the same day. And I will tell you very briefly about what happened to him. He was born in Hungary in 1929. And his family, they were not religious. They were Jewish because of the ethnicity. But they did not go to the synagogue, they didn't pray. They were completely secular, they looked, they dressed, they ate the same food as their neighbors. However, when the war started, they were sent by the Nazis to concentration camps. And many members of the family died. They were either killed or died as a result of starvation or disease. My father and his family, his parents and his sister, survived for two reasons. The first reason was that my father had blonde hair and blue eyes. So he looked like a German boy. So the German soldiers gave him some food. The other reason why he survived was because his mother, my grandmother, was a very good cook. And the Nazi commander, the Nazi officer, forced her to be the cook for his family. And every day she managed to steal some potatoes and, most importantly, garlic. Now, garlic is like a medicine. It immunizes you against typhoid and many other contagious diseases. So even though my father and his family in the camps were very hungry, they never had enough food, they ate a lot of garlic, and that helped them survive the disease. However, by the end of the war, when the war finished, they wanted to go back to Hungary, to their old home, their old school friends. But they discovered that after the war there was even more anti-Semitism than before. No one in Hungary wanted the Jews back, those that survived the camps. And my father had glasses. Every day the children at school took his glasses and smashed them so that he will not be able to read the textbooks and pass the exams. So after a few months, my father and his family realized that there was no longer any place for them in Hungary. And that's why they decided to take a ship, a refugee ship, and move to Israel. That was in 1947. So once again, my father was 10 years old when the war started. He was born in 1929. The war started in 1939. As a child of 10 years old, he had to become a man. He had to help his mother, his father, his sister to survive. And at the age of 18, he finally arrived in Israel. Okay? Now, all of that is history. But I think that as much as it's important to learn about history, the more important aspect is to draw lessons from history. Learning about the Holocaust as something that happened 70 years ago is useless. But learning about the Holocaust and drawing lessons in what is happening today around us, this is the real challenge. And this is one of the reasons why I became a diplomat. Now Israel is a rich, prosperous country. But I think that for us, a nation of Holocaust survivors, a nation that was built by refugees, just like my father, we have a moral duty to help refugees in other parts of the world, because we know what it means to be refugees. My father is 88 years old, but every week, at least once or twice, he has nightmares. He wakes up crying in the middle of the night or screaming because of the memories he still has from the Holocaust. So I grew up as a child listening to my father crying and screaming in the other room. And I think it's my duty to do everything in my power to make sure that nothing like the Holocaust will ever happen again. Unfortunately, things like that do happen all the time. I'm the Israeli ambassador not only to Cameroon, I'm also the Israeli ambassador to the Central African Republic. And we all know what has been happening in the Central African Republic in the past few years. Christians and Muslims, anti-Balaka, Seleka, killing each other. Every week you can read, even last week, that 500 Muslim civilians, women, children, men, were found shelter in a Catholic church. And the Catholic priest is defending Muslim people with his own body so that they will not be murdered. And the other way around. Christian refugees given shelter by Muslim neighbors and friends who help to protect them. But acts of genocide, acts of murder because of ethnic hatred, unfortunately do go on all over the world. Before coming here to Cameroon 1 year and 8 months ago, I volunteered with an Israeli organization, an Israeli NGO in Tel Aviv, which was set up to assist refugees and asylum seekers from South Sudan, Darfur, and Eritrea. In Tel Aviv, we have about 35,000 refugees and asylum seekers. They are very poor. They went through a terrible journey from Africa all the way to Tel Aviv. Many of them left family relatives behind in Africa, and it is our duty to help them. Also, when we look at what's happening in Syria, millions of people trying to escape from Syria and arrive in a place of safety in Europe. When we look at what happened, I'm sure some of you have been following this. Only 2 months ago, about 200 Cameroonian people were found in Libya, in slave markets. Those were Cameroonian people who were trying to get to Europe. They were captured by slave merchants and auctioned in a slave market in Libya. Can you believe that this is happening in the 21st century? So I'm very, very grateful to you and to the United Nations Information Center and to all of you for coming here today to watch this film and think about the Holocaust and discuss the Holocaust. But this is only half of the task. The other half, the more important half, is to think about it and make sure that next time we meet someone who is different from us, different because of the color of the skin, or because of religion, or because of dialect, or because of his ethnicity, we don't think about this other person as someone inferior or as an enemy. Because at the end of the day, what we all have in common is so much greater than what distinguishes us from each other. So thank you very much, and now I would be very happy to hear your comments or questions. Thank you.